Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale. Up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery with the purchase of any smart bed. Ends Monday. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Got Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Glad you're hanging out with us here. About half the work week in the rear view mirror, start working towards the weekend here. We got a lot to do over the next couple of hours. JD Pickell going to be with us in 30 minutes. He's going to be joining us weekly as he did the last couple of years. We're going to move back from 1:15 to 1:30. This time around to make sure he can join us. But JD will talk some National College Football with us 30 minutes from right now. It's What If Wednesday. Do a little bit of that. Got to meet the freshman Tyler Miller and DJ Pickett today. Want to spend some time talking about the former 5-star freshman cornerback. Michael Katz is going to join us to talk about the Ole Miss Rebels. LSU heads to Oxford in quite a few weeks, but we'll talk to Michael Katz about how Rebels camp has gone thus far. Got to talk about the Saints. ESPN.com's got some future power rankings out. Do a little bit of that. So lots and lots to do. Let's lock it in the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
About 10 days ago, I wrote and talked about 3 position battles that I felt were ongoing as LSU was in the middle of fall camp. And while I technically think they're still in fall camp, like, you're reaching the end of quote-unquote camp. You're going to get into Clemson preparation here pretty quickly. School starts in a little bit over a week. So you've got the end of camp coming. And what Brian Kelly told us in the summer when he was talking about how to better prepare for a season opener, he talked about, okay, we've got to get our depth chart, our starters pegged a little bit earlier and then prep them. Not battling for positions, not self-evaluating. We need to find out who the guys are and then start prepping for the game. And so I think you're reaching that point in the calendar, right? And I think that as we are able to watch practice, and we get more access than most, I'm ready to call 3 of the position battles. I'm ready to tell you who I believe has been determined as starters at those 3 positions. One of the ones I talked about was safety. And still, if you go out to practice and you watch a period of 7-on-7 where they run 9 reps, you're going to get some substitutions in and out. If you go out there and you see a period where the offense goes 8 plays down the field, the safeties still rotate a little bit. But I believe the first 2 safeties that are playing, and by the way, the first 2 safeties that Ashton Stamps called by name yesterday in player reviews when asked about communication, I think those 2 are the starters. And I do not believe it is the incumbent in Jarvin Gilbert. I think LSU's 2 safety starters are A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley. And it's not surprising. When LSU goes into the transfer portal, they're going to get transfers to make an impact. You're spending a significant amount of money out of your budget to do that, and you don't generally spend a bunch of money for guys to sit on the sideline. I think those guys came here to play. Now, Halsey, I told you from the first day of practice, I've seen him on paper, 24 tackles in a single game at New Mexico, Big 12 newcomer of the year the next year, first team All-ACC the next year, led the league in interceptions. Like, he's been massively productive all 3 years over 2 different stops. And then I got to look at him the first day of fall practice, and I go, okay, that's SEC size. The production is wild. He's going to start. And I told you the first week I thought that Halsey would start. I did not have a good feel for who the next guy would be. You had Gilbert, who's coming back with a healthy shoulder that he injured last year. You've got Deshaun Spears, massive upside based on his size and speed, 4-star recruit, top 10 safety in the country. Got Javian Toviano, big-time recruit out of Texas, finally finding a spot after he played some corner his true freshman year, and then he's played some nickel, and he's played some safety, and he's played some star, and what are you going to do with him? Well, now they got him back at safety, so he's at home. Does he progress? And then you got Cooley. And it appears to me that Cooley's the guy. Now, DeMarcus Cooley played a lot of nickel last year at NC State. And if you wanted to bump him down to nickel and play somebody else at safety, I would have understood that completely. Play a guy that's played a lot of safety at safety, play a guy that's played a lot of nickel at nickel, okay. But what you got right now is Harold Perkins handling that star role where he plays some nickel Sam. Like, that's part of what he does. And then you might put DJ Pickett on the field and move Ashton Stamstrom and sort of Lane in, and so there's not really a need for Cooley to go up there and do that. And now Gilbert's playing some star, so he might do that. So to me, DeMarcus Cooley is a safety. And I'm perfectly fine with that. He's got more size than you would think on tape, and he's clearly not afraid to get in there and tackle somebody. Ashton Stamps talked about him yesterday, said, look, that's a guy I talk to a lot. We make sure we're on the same page. The corners don't necessarily have to communicate. They're 35 yards apart. The corners and the safeties have to communicate. They're sharing one side of the field. So to me, this job is done. I'm not suggesting that there's no role for Jordan Gilbert on this team. I'm not suggesting Javian Toviano or Deshaun Spears won't play at all. But it would now surprise me if LSU took the field for the first drive against Clemson and DeMarcus Cooley and A.J. Halsey were not the top two safeties. I'm calling that position. I think it's over. The other position I'm ready to call is right guard. Brian Kelly said out loud on the record in a press conference, Braylon Moore is the center. He talked about it the first day when he was taking those reps, talked about it later on in a press conference. Braylon Moore is the center. We got that. Every first-team rep thus far that I've seen, Tyree Adams, left tackle, Weston Davis, right tackle. They're the first two guys out there. They are your tackles. But guard, there's been competition. And we got a look into that when Joe Sloan met with the media over the weekend, and he said, hey, we've got a lot of competition at guard. Our tackles have done great. Braylon's been good at center. We got competition at guard. And I believe that. I think they're continuing to evaluate, and that's why you see Paul Mabinga and DJ Chester flipping a lot at left guard with the first team. You don't see Josh Thompson come out. Ori Williams has played. Cohen Eccles has played more than Ori Williams, but none of them has played significantly when you consider Josh Thompson's reps. So Josh Thompson played right guard at Northwestern last year. He is, to me, your right guard. I believe that position battle is over. I do not think Cohen Eccles, nor Ori Williams, nor really Paul Mabinga are going to usurp him for that position. So I think that one is done. I think left guard is still open. I'm not calling that one yet. Right guard, Josh Thompson, he's in. And then another one that hopefully is not important. You hope this is not important, but I think the battle has been won, is backup quarterback. I told you 10 days ago I didn't think that it was decided. I thought that there were some ups and downs for both guys. Clearly, entering this fall camp, the experience edge goes to Michael Van Buren in a landslide. Because Van Buren, one, started 8 games last year as at a Southeastern Conference program. Now, it was a putrid roster, awful circumstances to throw a guy into, but he acquitted himself decently. And then he got to work in Joe Sloan's system in the spring. Colin Hurley got to LSU in the fall as a 16-year-old, turned 17 quickly thereafter, got into a car accident, and missed all the spring. So from an experience standpoint, it's not even close. Van Buren's that guy. But Van Buren had ups and downs, significant ups and downs in early going. Accuracy issues, decision-making problems. But he's also had some high moments. And when you watch him in practice, he'll miss some throws high. He'll sail some balls. Yesterday, Joe Sloan jumped his case in a 7-on-7 because he threw a ball over the middle of the field. And Joe Sloan said, if this and this happens, what's your read? And he pointed to the far left, and Sloan goes, no, it's right here to this side. So clearly there are some things that Michael Van Buren is still figuring out in terms of progressions and reads and understanding the offense. That's obvious from us going out there. But he also makes some really good throws. He's not afraid to throw it over the middle of the field in 7-on-7. He does use his legs very well, better than Nussmeier and Hurley. And he's got the experience. And now you're seeing the reps start to go significantly toward Van Buren. Hurley got some reps yesterday, certainly got reps yesterday with the second team, but Van Buren gets more of them. When they went to 11-11, Van Buren got those reps. So I think that Hurley is competing, But I think that job has been determined. If Garrett Nussmeier's got to miss any time, whether it's to tie a shoe on a play, his chin strap breaks, or he tweaks an ankle or whatever, if he's got to miss one play, one drive, 1 week, 1 month, I think Van Buren's the guy. I know that makes LSU fans crazy for even to mention that and bring it into the atmosphere, as my wife would say. But I think that job has been decided. So as you look across the LSU depth chart, at positions where there's not just a real free rotation, like wide receiver, they're going to rotate him in and out a ton. Defensive line, they're going to rotate him in and out a ton. I think those are the two that are going to rotate the most, along with running back, but Durham's clearly your guy to start those games. You pretty much got the guys you're going to go out there with. You've pretty much decided that. Now it's up for Brian Kelly and this staff to bear down and get these guys ready somehow, some way to execute better in this game against Clemson on the road than they did against USC, they did against Florida State, and they did against Florida State. They've got to find somehow, some way to get that done. And I think they gave a lot of guys a lot of options early on. They played a lot of guys. They rolled a ton of guys in and out in drills. And they're probably going to do a little bit of that moving forward. But I believe this without any inside sourcing, without me asking or finding out, yeah, this is the deal. They're not going to talk about that at this point in the calendar. But from getting the access that we get at practice, which is substantial, knowing what we know about what these guys have done previous to this fall camp, whether it was at a different place in high school or the spring, I think you've got your answer at just about every position on the field, and you're gaining on figuring out at left guard, where I think it'll be DJ Chester. But right now, he's getting competition, at least, from Paul Mabenga. But I'm calling it A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley, your safeties. Josh Thompson is your right guard. Michael Van Buren is your backup quarterback. Those, I believe, were position battles 2 weeks ago. I don't find them to be that for the first game as of now. If you told me somebody wiggled their way through over the course of 8-10 weeks in the regular season, that's a different discussion to have. But for right now, fall camp, performance, reps, skins on the wall, I think you understand where this thing is going. So that's my first look at LSU here on this Wednesday. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. It's scorching out there. You come home from work. If you just don't even think that you can spend any time anywhere but the couch, but you'd love it if you could go outside and you could get in that nice pool, get a refreshing dip in the afternoon after a tough day at the office, but you can't, or you've got wild and crazy kids and you like to get them outside the house, but it's too hot, well, it'd be nice if you had a pool. Build that pool of your dreams with Joey Blanchard and the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools. They customize the pool to your exact specifications. If you've always kind of known what you want, they can make that a reality for you. If you have no idea where to start, that's okay. They can show you your options and move you forward with that process. It's an incredible software they've got at Renaissance Homes and Pools that they can, to scale, create that pool in a three-dimensional manner so that you can see exactly what it's going to look like. Cocktail pool for the kids, the grandkids. Want something expansive, they can do that as well at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Check out the website, builtbyrenaissance.com, or give Joey a call on a cell phone. I love giving you the owner's cell phone number. That's a great joy of mine because I know that you're going to be taken care of by a local small business that has customer service right there at the top of its list. And that's the case with Renaissance Homes and Pools. Call Joey at 225-252-7745. Again, 225-252-7745. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools, builtbyrenaissance.com. They bring you our Thursday or Wednesday shows each and every week. Since we got JD at 1:30 where we usually do what ifs, we'll do What If Wednesday next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. JD Pickell with us in 15 minutes. I'm going to talk some national with JD. We've done a lot of SEC talk, and for those that were listening back in July when we were at SEC Media Days, spent a lot of time talking about the SEC, and we'll maybe get into that next week with JD. But I want to talk Penn State. I want to talk Michigan and Bryce Underwood. I want to certainly talk Ohio State, who hosts Texas opening weekend, Notre Dame, who plays against Arkansas and Texas A&M this year. I want to do some national college football with JD, so we'll do some of that coming up in 15 minutes. Got a lot to do in our second hour. We'll talk to Michael Katz about Ole Miss, talk some Saints as well, where they rank in the NFL Future Power Rankings that ESPN.com did. So we got lots and lots to do moving forward. But right now, since we'll talk to JD at 1:30, where we usually do What If Wednesday, we'll do it at this point.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, to kick this bad boy off. All right, Hunt. What if you could go to either Clemson or the Alabama game?
I would go to Clemson. I have been to Tuscaloosa. Y'all actually cut up and saved a clip of me on this radio station saying that I love Tuscaloosa. What I mean is that I've enjoyed my time in Tuscaloosa. I think it's a great college town. I think that the area of bars and restaurants called the Strip right off of campus, right by the stadium in walking distance is very cool. I think their stadium is great. I think the environment is really good in the stadium. I've seen it at its best in 2011. It's really good, and I would probably welcome a chance to go back there. I swore after I went in 2015 that I would never go again until Saban quit.
Oh, okay.
Saban has quit, so I will entertain that idea once again. But I've never been to Clemson, and I love college towns in the SEC. Like, I think that Oxford and Starkville and Auburn are great little towns, and Fayetteville too. I love that. I know Baton Rouge just doesn't really qualify for me. It's like Columbia, South Carolina. It's like Gainesville. It's a little bit like Tuscaloosa in that way. It's like Knoxville. It's a real city. It's got infrastructure, and it's big and
traffic.
Yeah, you get in and out of Oxford and Auburn really quickly. Yeah. And I know that Clemson is a small college town by a lake there. I would love to see it. I would love to go. Unfortunately, that's not in the cards here. We're going to stay home and do things for the network and LouisianaSports.net. But if you gave me the option, I would go to the Clemson game.
You might be one of the first people that was excited to go to Clemson, South Carolina.
I just love college towns. I think they're cool. I think, I mean, I obviously spent a lot of time in them when I was in college. When LSU, I started in 2006. And from 2006 through 2014, so about 8 years, I missed one LSU game home and away. I did not go to the Penn State bowl game. It was a mess over in Orlando. I went to every other game they played. I went to Seattle, Gainesville. I went to every place in the SEC because A&M and Missouri weren't in, so I'd gone to all of them at that point. I love college towns. I think they're very cool. I would like to see Clemson.
Okay, so what if you could go – oh, I read that one already. What if LSU wins the toss at Clemson?
I sincerely hope they defer. I think –
it
would be a terrible decision by Brian Kelly if he took the ball and went right into the belly of the beast, cranked that crowd up to 1 million with an offensive line that we're a little concerned about against that front. And I think LSU's defense, this is going to surprise some people, and this is something I'm going to get into over the next 2 weeks. I think the defense is a better unit than the offense. I have made that declaration. I think this defense has a chance to be very, very good. I'm putting them out there first against an offense in Clemson that hasn't run any plays yet, that may be a little bit clunky. Like, I'm putting the defense out there first. I think it's your stronger unit. That hasn't been the case previously. Your offense has been stronger, and I get why Brian Kelly might want to put them out there first. Not this year, not that environment, not this game. You have to defer and put your defense out there if they win the toss.
100%. So what if you could go to one non-LSU college football game this year?
Interesting. Some that come to mind immediately. Texas goes to Georgia, but I love Athens, my favorite place in the SEC. I would love to go see that.
Really? That's your favorite place?
Yeah. Obviously, Texas at Ohio State when it's not cold outside is massive. That would be very cool to go to.
It's a banger.
Oregon plays Penn State, and I don't know where that game is, but I saw it on the schedule. I know Oregon plays Penn State. If that's in Happy Valley and it's a whiteout, that's a very attractive game that I might want to go to. I'm not going to go Ohio State, Michigan, even though that would be a cool game to go to because that's just going to be too cold for me. After Thanksgiving, in that one, I guess, would be in Ann Arbor. That's too cold for me, so I can't do that. But I think pinning me down, it's probably Ohio State, Texas in the shoe.
Yes.
But Oregon, Penn State, especially to whiteout, is a very close second for me.
I'm trying to figure out where that is for you real quick. Goodness gracious. Cannot find it. Well, whatever. We'll just move. I cannot find it.
I'll find it.
Yeah, I'm biased.
Read me the next one.
All right, so what if the Saints go 2-15? This is like a setup? What's going on here? What's going on here?
They'll be in position to take a quarterback if that happens. Now, if they go 2-15, it would stand to reason that neither Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler had a very good year. I suppose it's possible that one of them plays well and the record is what that is, but it's unlikely.
Yeah.
Like if they had the worst defense in the NFL and they can't run the ball at all, but they do throw it a little bit, maybe I change my tune. But if they go 2-15, you'll have waited through this year. Maybe you've seen something very positive from the young defensive players. Maybe you've seen something positive from the offensive line, but the quarterback maybe the quarterback is the problem.
Yeah.
And if the quarterback is the problem and other things look better, you can address that if you go 2-15 because you will have the first pick.
Oh, you'll have
if you go 2-15. So, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I think you're doing us a disservice. I see 3 wins at best. Okay, two. We can get 3. We can squeeze 3 out. Okay.
By the way, going back to our last question, Penn State against Oregon is in Pennsylvania at Penn State. Probably a whiteout, and in September when it would be warm.
Yes.
I would like to ask the jury if I could change my answer from the past question. Give me Oregon at Penn State in September. I would like to go see.
It's gonna be rocking. And then finally, what if Beck takes 6 months of family leave?
That was from the Bayou Ford chat. I believe Nookie came at us with that one. We can't have Beck taking 6 months off. I've heard about these cushy corporate jobs that are offering 6 months paternity leave and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm jealous, first of all, very much so. My wife did not get 6 months full pay in either of her maternity leaves at 2 different places. I certainly wasn't offered 6 months paternity leave here. Got a wonderful company that we work for here.
Yeah.
6 months of full pay paternity leave not in the cards. So Beck's not going to get that. If he takes that, it's going to be a pretty sizable pay cut for Beck if he does that. But we are happy to announce that baby Beck did come either late last night or early this morning.
Yes.
Happy, healthy baby girl. So everything sounds good on that front. We'll let him do some announcing when he gets back on names and give stories and all that kind of stuff. But thrilled to get the announcement that baby Beck did arrive overnight and is happy and healthy. And that's fantastic news for the whole Beck clan.
Yes. Shout out baby Beck.
That's right.
Shout out baby Beck.
We got anything else?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Well, let's look in the Bayou Ford chat, see if we got some. We got some really nice golf courses up in South Carolina. Hunt. I played some South Carolina golf. Played Harbortown and the 2 courses there in Hilton Head as well. They're calling me a Bama fan because, again, I said I liked Tuscaloosa. Seth Rushing says, what if Hunt hit his driver 400 yards? 400 yards would be good.
Yeah.
If I could do that and find a way to straighten it out, we probably wouldn't be doing this show. I'd be making a lot of money on the PGA Tour because hitting it 400 straight is going to net some significant dollars. Even I could get it around at that point if we could hit it 400 because I've had 50 yards on everybody on tour.
Yeah.
That'd be good, but I can't do that. So Brian Burgess says, what if LSU beats Clemson? How bad will the meltdown from the naysayers be? In fact, there won't be any meltdown from the naysayers. If you're talking about the LSU fans, they'll all be thrilled. That's the beauty of being a hater, the beauty of being someone who is pessimistic all the time, is if things go poorly, you're right.
Yeah.
And if things go right, you can just celebrate. That's what I don't appreciate about some of the folks on Twitter that hit me up, especially during a long baseball season, that just say consistently that LSU's terrible, LSU's terrible, LSU's terrible, and then they win the national championship and you just celebrate. Well, that's a convenient way to put yourself out there.
Well, I feel a little exposed because that's how I was with the Saints last year. Like when we had Dennis Allen, I wanted nothing but the worst to happen. But,
it did happen.
Yeah. Oh, you remember I was in here. I was jumping up and down. I was happy.
And the last one here from Nookie, what if Hunt live streamed the times he hangs out on TexAgs? Full disclosure, I got to come clean. The TexAgs account that I've used previously has been deactivated. It's not been. I was not paying for it. We were splitting it, and the determination was made not to further involve that investment. So I'm very disappointed to reveal that. I can still watch the YouTube videos, which I do. And keep in mind, I always say this. I think the guy, the TexAgs crew, does an awesome job, but I'm definitely never going to go there when they win. Like, that's a given. I'm only going to go to see how they react to a loss. That's the way I'm wired. It's a weird thing about me. It's probably not a very redeemable quality, a redeemable characteristic, but I do enjoy the misery of other fan bases during football season. So when teams lose, I generally go check that out.
That's a part of the game. Like, you're supposed to do that. People enjoy LSU fans.
Well, theoretically, you should enjoy your successes and generally find some more creative ways of spending your time than wallowing in the pity of others. I just can't help it. It's just what I like to do. I finish the post-game show. I go home. I pour a cocktail. It's like 1 a.m. in my kitchen counter. Everybody's asleep in my house. It's quiet, which never happens in that house. And I'm just going to pull up some YouTube videos of some fans being really sad because their team lost. Yeah. That's just the way that I'm going to be. Just the same reason why when LSU loses, whiskey and wine views were double. We're double. It's just the way it is. And so it's not a redeeming quality of mine. But it is what I'm not going to hide from it. It just is what it is. So that's it for What If Wednesday here on this Wednesday. We come back. JD Pickell talking college football next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closet space is a big, big deal. I moved into my first home that I purchased, and the closet space, not great. And so the girlfriend at the time, now wife, moved in, said, this is atrocious. And there was nothing we could do to fix it at that point, we thought. So we shoved a bunch of stuff in the closet and put some stuff in the attic and had stuff in boxes, and the closets were a mess, and it was just a disaster. And we knew we were moving because baby number 2 was coming, so we were going to get some more space. But had we not moved, we could have customized the closet with David Duvall and his team. So if you would like a better closet situation, is the long way I'm going to get to this, but you don't want to move because you got a great interest rate or a great location or a great house, just the closet situation is not what you want, David Duvall can help you with that. They can build you a new closet customized to your specs, or they can help you use your current space more efficiently with some accessories in that closet. Go see the great work at onebathandclosets.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's customized, it's gorgeous, it's functional, and he will do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. Check it out online, onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
About half that work week in the rear view mirror. Going to start working towards the weekend here pretty quickly. Working towards football season here pretty quickly. Just a couple of weeks away. And that means it's time to relink up with JD Pickell from On3 Sports. Saw our guy in Atlanta back last month. Football season was a little bit far off at that point. Not anymore. We're getting real close. So let's bring him back in weekly, starting our Wednesday visits. JD, how we doing, boss?
Man, hearing your voice coming through my AirPods is the last domino I need to fall before I know college football season this year. We got the preseason rankings, we got the magazine, we got the video game. Well, you got Hunt Palmer giving you a call at 1:15, 1:30, give or take Central Time. You know what's up, and it is in fact stuck as college football season. I'm so glad to hear your voice.
I'm glad to hear yours. Let's rock and roll. I want to save the SEC stuff because we talked about that a lot in Atlanta, and we'll continue to do that as we get closer to week one. But I want to do a little bit more national, kind of big picture stuff with you on some teams around the country. Penn State is getting a lot of love. Their playoff team last year. I'm curious your thoughts on how much credit they get for those 2 playoff wins against those 2 programs. But they bring back Drew Aller, and they've recruited pretty well. Are you drinking Penn State Kool-Aid at this point in the calendar?
It's a tricky Kool-Aid to drink right now because I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think if they get the draw they got last year, they'll probably be where they ended up again in the college football playoff. I am still very much so wait and see, and not because the James Franklin big game narrative stuff. I think that's a little bit overdone. They were right in every single big game that they lost a season ago, so they're not like showing up and getting boat raced. I am still waiting for the game where I'm like, yes, Drew Aller, yes, that's what I want to see from you. That makes me all the way in on the Drew Aller hype train, the Kool-Aid, the stock, whatever kind of label you want to put on it. I haven't seen it yet, and I know there's a lot around his receiver room and what they lacked a year ago. But, like, Hunt, you know this as well as anybody, like, great quarterbacks make great receivers better. And Tyler Warren's not running out that tunnel yet again with that beautiful man in Happy Valley like he's gone to the league. So when I have that gone and I'm relying on 3 portal wide receivers, I need to see Drew Aller elevate the whole system. Because in the Orange Bowl, you had Tyler Warren and a bunch of receivers doing 4 quarters of cardio, and nobody caught a pass in that game. So That's a roundabout way to say I like Penn State. I like them as a team that's going to contend in the college football playoff, and with the right draw they could do it. But I'm still as questionable on the top quarterback that's proven in a conference as you can be with Drew Allen.
Let's go to Michigan, where they didn't even play quarterback last year. And I can't really talk about Michigan in this market without sounding like they got a little bit of sour grapes here. But it sounds like they're going to turn the keys over to Bryce Underwood, and everybody feels like that's just going to be hunky-dory and everything will be great. Where are you on the Wolverines now 2 years removed from Jim Harbaugh?
I think the roster math is super exciting for them because what you just said, everyone's talking about how bad they were at quarterback a year ago, and they beat Ohio State, they beat Alabama, so it can't be any worse, right, Hunt?
Yeah.
My thing with them is it's not just the fact that they should be better at quarterback. Like, the schedule is super workable. If you look at what they have, if they just get past Washington with 2 losses or less, meaning they would – split Oklahoma and Nebraska, and maybe you drop one to a Washington or USC. But if you just get past Washington like late mid-October with 2 losses, if you're playing Ohio State at the end of your season with a college football playoff spot on the line for the Wolverines if they go 10-2, because they don't play anybody with the pulse between Washington and Ohio State. They don't play a team that made a bowl game a year ago. So the thing with me is, where does Bryce Underwood have that light bulb moment, if at all, this season? And full transparency, I think he will eventually, get his sea legs underneath him. I think he's too talented for that to happen. But does that happen, against Oklahoma, and then you're good to go from there? Does that happen against USC, heading into the rest of your October slate? I don't know. And so once that light bulb comes on, I think that Michigan's going to be real dangerous. But where it comes on, to me, is the most intriguing part. Last thing I'll say, the fact that they don't have as much firepower around him does give me a little bit of caution with Michigan.
We'll see. As you mentioned, it's a workable schedule, and they may lose a couple early, but if they can find their sea legs, to your point, in the middle of the season, then they can right that ship in a big way and be playing for a lot late in the year. A team that played for a lot last year was Oregon. They were the last unbeaten. Dylan Gabriel moves on. I've heard some real skepticism about Dante Moore. Where are you on that program and their ability at quarterback and to replicate what they did last year?
I think Oregon, and it's going to sound bizarre, Hunt, so just roll with. I think Oregon might actually be better positioned than where they were a year ago. Now, position is the key word. I don't know if they'll be better, wins, losses than last year, but we talk about Dylan Gabriel and all his, experience in college football. He had a spring to learn that system, and he looked like he only had a spring to learn the system those first few games of the year. Remember that first month of the season, we're like, hey, what's up with Oregon? Hey, is Oregon maybe one of those teams that we were way too high on in the offseason because they play with their food that first game against the G5 school, and then I believe they play with their food against Boise State, and Boise State turned out to be pretty good. But the point I'm making here is Dante Moore has had 2 springs, and by the time he starts his first game for Oregon, 2 fall camps. And I don't think that the Oregon offense requires you to be an NFL caliber quarterback to run it, even though Dante Moore may end up being that when it's all said and done based on what he was as a 5-star recruit.
Yep.
My thing with the Oregon offense is just be a good in-law during the holidays. You know what I mean? Nobody's looking at the brother-in-law that shows up, to be the guy that's making all the great jokes, be the life of the party. Dude, just be efficient, be smart, do the dishes, ask good questions. We don't need you to run this whole show and be the source of the firepower. If you get the ball to the players like Kenyon Sadiq, who I think is going to be an All-American tight end for them, they're going to be in real good shape from that regard, and then plus the schedule. So that's a long way to say. I'm giving you long answers here, Hunt, but I think Oregon is positioned to be right back in the mix.
Long answers are good. Yeah, long answers are good. It's radio. If I gave you a free, crisp $20 bill to bet if Dan Lanning wins a national championship at Oregon, what would you bet?
I would bet it in a heartbeat. I would say without a question. I think it gets more interesting when you say I get that $20 to bet on Dan Lanning winning a national championship and the time range to get that done, because I think it'll be in the next 3 years. I really do. I think they've recruited too well. I trust too much what he is as a fixer of mistakes at Oregon. I think year in, year out, they get better from a record perspective, but I think the brand of football gets better. Like we saw them fall flat against Washington twice in a row a year ago, and corrected that in a big way when they got into the Big Ten title game and found a way to be clutch against Penn State. So I think that he'll absolutely win one. I think it'll be in the next 3 years.
Let's talk Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. Played for a title last year. Is that the new standard at Notre Dame, or was that just a really good run?
Yeah, I think it can be the standard for Notre Dame. I think people in South Bend would tell you that's the standard, especially because there's no conference title you're playing for. So it's like, let's go win a trophy, and the only way to do that is by winning a national championship. I think that the way they have turned over that roster since he got there is what people get really excited about in Notre Dame circles, because talking to people that are like, at practice, they say, we got this 5-star offensive lineman, Will Black, who when we're watching him, on the practice field, looks like he should be running with the one, but we're just so deep at that position that the guy's taking reps with the reserves. And then you go down the line of other position groups. So they feel like they're actually at a spot roster-wise where they can go compete consistently for a national championship. My thing is, like, once they actually compete in that tier consistently, that's where I think it gets kind of sticky around dealing with Notre Dame, because the narrative has never been around the brand of Notre Dame or, the pageantry or like how awesome Notre Dame is for like the college football, history book. It's always been, well, yeah, but they play a weak schedule, get to the college football playoff and get boat race. If they do what they did a year ago and just like get to the playoff and like make some noise, I think at that point they start to stockpile talent. And at that point, then I think it does become, okay, national championships, not just like a dream, but like a true goal that is attainable here semi-consistently.
Do you think they make the playoff this year?
I do. I think they do it at 10-2, though. I think they get a tiebreaker with the win over Miami to start the year.
All right, one more national team, and we'll leave the Midwest and head down to the Southeast and go to Florida State. I don't really have a great explanation or a vision for what happened last year, but from them to go to what they were 2 years ago to what they were last year is shocking. Do you trust Mike Norvell to fix it?
I think fix it's a funny phrase they're trying to sort through in Tallahassee, because I'm with you, Hunt. Like, I mean, a year ago we're talking about Mike Norvell for the Bama job. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like oh man, he got re-signed. Good for him. Tallahassee's in a good spot. Future is bright. And then they just put the entirety of that fan base through. I mean, I think they all probably need to go to therapy after what they saw last year. Like that's traumatic in every single sense. So I think fix it to me, if I'm a Florida State fan, isn't, oh, we're back competing for the ACC and we're talking about being a fringe playoff team. To me, fix it is just like, show me that everything is just repaired. Like, you tear the ACL, we're not asking you to go run a marathon the next season. It's like, show me you can like jog in place a little bit here. Like 7-5 for Florida State is not the standard, and it probably would taste like vinegar going down for the good folks in Knoll Country. But I think 7-5 is like, okay, we're back to neutral, we're back to stable. Mike Norvell isn't a terrible football coach. If you believe that, you're crazy. Like, okay, we're bad year, fluky year in some ways. Team look, I didn't want to play past week 3. Okay, now we can reset and start to build again. Like, just get back to stable is my big task for them, which I think they can. I think the margin for error is a little bit more slim with how they're going to run that offense with Castellanos. If it works, I think it'll work pretty visibly in the first month of the season.
Unless you picked the wrong 2 years to play that program. That's pretty evident at this point, Jordan Travis's last 2 years as the starter. Well, JD, tell everybody where they can find all your preseason stuff. I know y'all are rolling out the content here before they kick it off.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be on here every Wednesday, which I'm just psyched for. I introduced myself to Jordan on the way in. I'm pumped about working with him. I mean, great people in the control room. But if you want to listen to more of our stuff on our YouTube channel, we'll have content for you all college football season and beyond.
Yeah, our normal producer Jacob Beck had a baby last night, so not going to be here for a couple of days, but he'll be back in the saddle for football season. So we're fired up to have you. Looking forward to our conversations every week. Y'all can find JD on 3's YouTube channel. Go check him out, and he'll be here every Wednesday. We'll talk to you next week, man.
You're the man, Hunt. Love you, brother. See you soon.
JD Pickell on 3 Sports. That I hadn't thought about that in a second, that LSU just picked a horrendous 2 years to play Florida State. Like, just horrendous 2 years. And that's part of it. And I would suggest you didn't pick a great year to play Clemson at this point with a quarterback in his last year who's been a proven commodity for them now for a year, and then with the potential 2 first-round picks on defensive line. But that's the schedule. You got to go play it. So we'll get there here in about 2.5 weeks. All right, our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Come back, meet the freshmen, close out hour number 1.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Basically, Ole Miss's entire roster is gone from last year. So we'll talk about the Rebels with Michael Katz coming up in 10 minutes. What does Lane Kiffin's team look like here? That's going to be a big trip for LSU up to Oxford, Mississippi. It was a monster game last year that LSU came out on top in overtime. We'll talk Rebels here in 10 minutes. But to close out hour number 1 on this Wednesday, let's do some Meet the Freshmen.
Meet the Freshmen. Freshmen. Meet the Freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
LSU's offensive line class this year was phenomenal on paper. Obviously, the headliners were Carius Kern and Solomon Thomas, but you also had an in-state win with a legacy in Brett Bordelon. And our next Meet the Freshman guest here, Tyler Miller. Tyler Miller from Laurel, Mississippi, 6'5", 315 pounds, a consensus 4-star recruit across all 4 services. Rivals had him as the number 3 player in the state of Mississippi and the number 10 interior offensive lineman in the country. He was also the number 20 offensive lineman in the country by On3. Big-time recruit that LSU pulled in, beat out some high-profile teams for Tyler Miller's services. And Brad Davis has done this consistently. He has won out over big names and big programs on the recruiting front for these offensive linemen. Now, they've got to get to the field this year and be really good players, not in Miller's case, in these freshman case, but the guys that Brad Davis has brought in now since he got here in 2022 have got to start to be your starting studs. And for LSU to beat Florida, to beat Ole Miss, beat Georgia, beat Alabama for Tyler Miller was a really good win. He's not a guy that's threatening for a spot this year. You look at the 2 deep on the offensive line, certainly the starters. You're looking at Tyree Adams. You're looking at DJ Chester, at Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, and then you've got Weston Davis. And then behind them, immediately, you've got Bo Bordelon, you've got Paul Mabinga, you've got Carius Kern, you've got that group of players that are likely to step in. Miller's going to get a year to sit and watch. And you're going to lose Josh Thompson after this year, and you're going to lose Braylon Moore after this year, and it's very possible that you lose Tyree Adams after this year, and there may be a new rush for playing time, and that would be when Tyler Miller's name is called. But from a size perspective, Miller is big, he is physical, he was highly thought of, and LSU's got him on campus, so that's a guy that we'll probably look forward to make his LSU debut next year. Now, DJ Pickett is the guy I'm going to close the hour out with here in terms of our Meet the Freshman segment, and this guy is a unicorn as far as I've been covering LSU. I have not seen a 6'5" corner that can run. Like, the closest thing I've seen to him is Thorold Simon, and Pickett is a more talented player than Thorold Simon, though Simon was a really good player at LSU. Pickett was really thin when he got to campus, and he's still thin, but he's put on about 15, 20 pounds reportedly, and I'll tell you this about DJ Pickett when you watch him play at practice. He is not afraid to put his hands on people. He will mix it up when the ball's in the air. I believe, as I watch, there are going to be some flags for pass interference. And as I said yesterday when talking about the reps, and I'll say again today, I would much rather a young defensive back be in position and commit a pass interference in practice than to just be beat and not make a play on the ball. Pickett makes a play on the ball and the man just about every time. And he spent the majority of the first 2 weeks going head up on Chris Hilton in about every rep, and he lost about every rep because I believe Chris Hilton is the best wide receiver on this football team. I think Chris Hilton is an all-conference player that's going to have a monster year and lead LSU in receiving. And I think it's intentional that Corey Raymond pointed to number 3, meaning Chris Hilton, and then pointed to his number 3 and DJ Pickett and said, go cover him every rep. Because Corey Raymond knows what superstar freshmen look like. Because he's coached him before. He coached Derek Stingley. He coached Eli Ricks and Christian Fulton. He coached these guys that were precocious young talents that got to the field quickly. And I believe DJ Pickett will get to the field very quickly. He will play on defense against Clemson. You have heard me time and time again in these Meet the Freshmen sound like I did with Tyler Miller, like I did with Zion Williams and Brandon Brown and J.D. LaFleur and all these guys that I don't think are going to play. DJ Pickett will play. He will play early. He will play often. And if he emerges as a solid to really good SEC cornerback this year, it raises the ceiling of the defense. And that's a big, big piece to what LSU wants to do defensively. So that's your two Meet the Freshmen here on this Wednesday, Tyler Miller and DJ Pickett. Missed any of the first hour? Catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We'll pause for national headlines with SportsCenter and come back. Talk some Ole Miss football with Michael Katz.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Most of you that are driving around listening to me or catching me on a podcast while you're working out or in transit, most of you haven't driven a Genesis. It's fairly new to the game. A lot of folks are very loyal to their car brands. I understand that. They understand that at Genesis Baton Rouge. What they're asking is for you to give them a shot. Go by and see them airline at Pickell. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, whether that's tomorrow or in the next 6 months or in the next year, you're probably going to be on Airline Highway. Just make that one stop off at Genesis Baton Rouge and see why it is a luxury brand of vehicles at a reasonable price. It's a phenomenal staff, incredible benefits and perks that come with being a Genesis driver. Great location there on Airline, and an amazing warranty, America's best warranty, in fact. Check out that whole inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.